I've always said, no, nothing didn't happen. And it was pretty much a hit song that stirred up a lot of people's emotions, I guess.
I think Beyonce taught me. She showed me a lot of focus when, like, I never seen. Mostly, being an artist has kind of been free and been like, yo, what's up? And we in the studio having fun. When I did go to the studio with her, she was so focused.
That was the 2003 MTV Europe Music Awards. Behind closed doors, Beyoncé had cornered Sean Paul with a warning that would change everything. The rumors were getting out of control, and someone powerful was getting angry.
We did speak, me and her, in Europe at one point when the rumors got crazy about, me not being let anywhere around her. And I'm like, listen, we know it's crazy rumors. I'm sitting here talking to you. So she was like, rumors follow me at this time a lot, and we just have to work through it.
If fans thought Beyoncé was with Sean Paul, Jay-Z would look weak, exposed, and played. The last thing a hip-hop mogul can afford. Soon, technical difficulties that only seemed to happen when Sean took the stage started happening. This wasn't coincidence. This was warfare.
But there was a mix-up in terms of on the video shoot. When I got there the night before the video shoot, I was told I'm not in any scene with her, which to me at the time, the way I was thinking about the video was totally different. I thought we were gonna kind of act something out.
It was at that moment when Sean Paul realized he was up against the most powerful man in hip-hop, and Jay-Z had just sent a message that would echo through Hollywood for decades. Summer 2003. The music industry was buzzing with anticipation as Beyoncé Knowles prepared to step out from Destiny's Child's shadow. Her debut solo album, Dangerously in Love, needed a hit that would establish her as more than just one-third of a group. When the track listing leaked, one collaboration stood out: Baby Boy featuring Sean Paul. The pairing seemed like pure musical genius. Beyoncé's sultry vocals paired with Sean Paul's distinctive dancehall flow created an intoxicating blend that captured the essence of early 2000s R&B. The song's Caribbean-influenced production, helmed by Scott Storch, was perfectly crafted for summer radio rotation. Sean Paul was riding high on his own wave of success. His album, Duddy Rock, had already spawned massive hits like Get Busy and Like Glue. The Jamaican artist was bringing dancehall to mainstream American audiences in a way no one had achieved before. For Beyoncé, collaborating with Sean Paul meant tapping into that authentic Caribbean sound that was dominating the clubs.
I remember she came to Jamaica way back when Destiny's Child had one song. And they came and I opened for them at the time, or I believe.
The recording process seemed straightforward enough. Sean Paul laid down his verses over Scott Storch's hypnotic production, weaving his patois-heavy flow between Beyoncé's melodic hooks. The chemistry was undeniable, on the track at least. But what Sean Paul didn't know was that Beyoncé wasn't single. She had been quietly dating Sean Carter, Jay-Z, since 2001. Their relationship was one of the industry's best-kept secrets, carefully managed by both their teams to avoid overshadowing their individual careers. When Baby Boy was released as the second single from Dangerously in Love on August 3, 2003, it immediately began climbing the charts. The song's sensual vibe and steamy production made it perfect for summer rotation. By September, it had reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, where it would remain for an impressive 9 weeks. The success was everything Beyoncé and her team had hoped for. The single proved she could dominate as a solo artist while showcasing her versatility. Sean Paul benefited equally. The collaboration elevated his profile in the American market and opened doors to mainstream opportunities he'd never had access to before. But success came with an unexpected price. As Baby Boy dominated radio and television, fans began speculating about the relationship between the two collaborators. Their chemistry on the track was electric, and music videos were already being planned to capitalize on that connection. What started as pure musical collaboration was about to become something much more complicated. Because while Sean Paul saw Baby Boy as a career-defining hit, Jay-Z saw it as a threat to everything he was building with the woman he planned to marry. The Baby Boy music video should have been a celebration of artistic collaboration. Instead, it became the first battlefield in a war that Sean Paul didn't even know he was fighting. When video treatment discussions began, Sean Paul expected to work closely with Beyoncé, building on the chemistry they'd created in the studio. The song's sensual energy and Caribbean influences seemed perfect for a co-starring visual that would showcase both artists equally.
At the time, the way I was thinking about the video was totally different. I thought we were gonna kind of act something out. So I guess with the rest of my team and everybody in Jamaica wanted to see me paired up with a star that she'd become huge. We're kind of disappointed.
At the time, Sean Paul was called into a meeting with the director, who informed him that he wouldn't be in any scene with Beyoncé. The meeting was brief and non-negotiable. Sean Paul would film his performance segments separately. Beyoncé would handle her solo scenes. There would be no interaction, no shared choreography, no opportunity for the kind of visual chemistry that had made the song so compelling. The explanation was vague, something about artistic vision and creative direction. But Sean Paul wasn't naive. He understood exactly what was happening, even if no one would say it explicitly. Sean Paul tried to rationalize the decision publicly, crediting Beyoncé's creative control. But privately, he knew the truth. This wasn't about artistic vision. This was about protecting a relationship that the public didn't even know existed. The final video told the story perfectly. Beyoncé appeared in stunning solo shots, dancing in exotic locations, posing in revealing outfits, embodying the song's sensual energy. Sean Paul was relegated to basic performance footage, clearly filmed at a different time and location. The editing tried to create the illusion of collaboration, but anyone paying attention could see they were never in the same room. When the video premiered on MTV's Total Request Live in August 2003, it immediately sparked conversation. Fans noticed the obvious separation between the two artists. Music journalists questioned why such a successful collaboration had resulted in such a disconnected visual presentation. The irony was perfect. By trying to prevent rumors through separation, they had actually created more speculation. Fans began asking uncomfortable questions. Why weren't they together? What was being hidden? Was there tension between the collaborators? The video's success only amplified the scrutiny. As Baby Boy climbed the charts, more attention focused on the unusual dynamics between its stars. MTV played the video in heavy rotation, but each viewing raised more questions about why two artists with such obvious chemistry had been kept so deliberately apart. Behind the scenes, the message had been sent and received. Sean Paul understood that his relationship with Beyoncé would be strictly professional and carefully controlled. What he didn't yet realize was that even professional interaction was about to become impossible. Because while the video was dominating television screens across America, Jay-Z was already planning his next move. The separation strategy had worked for the video, but live performances would require a different approach entirely. As Baby Boy dominated the charts through the fall of 2003, live performance opportunities began presenting themselves. Award shows, special events, and high-profile concerts all wanted to capitalize on the song's massive success. For Sean Paul, these performances represented career-defining moments, chances to solidify his place in American mainstream music. The first few performances seemed to go smoothly, though Sean Paul noticed some unusual patterns. Sound checks that ran longer than normal, technical delays that affected his segments specifically, equipment issues that somehow resolved themselves as soon as his portion ended. Sean Paul said, "Strange things started to happen at the performances, which was weird. I did my show and then she was performing, and they told me to stick around because we'll do Baby Boy. We do it, and I run out there, and the crowd goes wild. But after a while, it seems like I lost their energy." The pattern was subtle but consistent. Sean Paul would make his entrance to massive crowd reaction. The song was #1, after all. But somewhere during his verse, the energy would shift. The crowd's enthusiasm would fade. His voice would seem to disappear into the mix. Sean Paul explained, "And it's weird because I was going wild out there. When the song finished, I came backstage and my own band was all pissed off, like, 'Man, that's effed up. You heard yourself? We couldn't hear you in the crowd. Your mic was off.' I was like, 'How the F did that happen?'" His own band, musicians who had worked with him for years, were witnessing the sabotage in real time. These weren't accidental technical difficulties. Someone was deliberately undermining his performances, turning his biggest career moments into public embarrassments. The psychological warfare was expertly crafted. Sean Paul couldn't prove anything was intentional. Sound equipment failures happen all the time in live music, but the pattern was becoming impossible to ignore. Every collaboration with Beyoncé resulted in mysterious technical problems that affected only his portions of the performance. The most devastating incident occurred during a performance in Germany. Sean Paul delivered what he thought was an electric set, feeding off the crowd's energy and giving everything he had. But when he returned backstage, his band was furious. The audience had heard almost nothing. His microphone had been turned down so low that his voice was barely audible beyond the first few rows. What looked like a triumphant performance from his perspective had been an invisible disappointment for everyone else. These weren't random malfunctions. Live sound engineering is a precise art, and microphone levels don't accidentally drop during specific verses. Someone with access to the soundboard was making deliberate adjustments, turning Sean Paul's showcase moments into professional humiliations. November 2003. The MTV Europe Music Awards in Edinburgh, Scotland. For Sean Paul, this represented the biggest stage yet for Baby Boy, a chance to perform the chart-topping hit for a massive international television audience. The song was still dominating radio across Europe, and MTV had positioned the performance as one of the evening's major highlights. Sean Paul recalled, "I landed in Scotland, and it was this MTV event, and there were paparazzi everywhere. We ended up doing the rehearsal, and everything was good, and the performance was going to be where I come up from under the stage. And then we both walked to a big center thing in the middle of the stadium, which was surrounded by fire." The production was elaborate, exactly the kind of spectacle MTV was known for. Rehearsals went perfectly. The staging worked flawlessly. The sound levels were balanced, and both artists hit their marks. Everyone involved felt confident about delivering a memorable performance for the televised audience. But when the live performance began, everything went wrong. Sean Paul described the disaster. "That all happens, and then it reaches my part. You're a top girl, and the track keeps going, 'Baby boy, you stay. Baby boy, you stay.' Just repeating. I was like, what's going on here?" The playback system had malfunctioned at the exact moment Sean Paul was supposed to deliver his verse. Instead of his section of the song, the track got stuck repeating Beyoncé's hook. For millions of television viewers, it looked like Sean Paul had missed his cue or forgotten his lyrics. This wasn't a microphone issue or a volume problem. This was a complete technical breakdown that made Sean Paul appear unprofessional on international television. The kind of malfunction that could damage an artist's reputation for years. But the real confrontation happened after the cameras stopped rolling. Sean Paul revealed, "She was pissed and was like, 'I need to speak to you.' So we go back and talk, and she's like, 'What's all these rumors about?' And I'm like, 'Yo, I'm not saying ish.' And she's like, 'These rumors F with my career. I just want you to know that.'" Beyoncé's anger wasn't about the technical difficulties. It was about the rumors that had been circulating since Baby Boy was released. Stories about romantic connections between the collaborators. Speculation about chemistry that extended beyond the studio. Gossip that threatened her carefully managed public image. Sean Paul added, "I told Beyoncé that the rumors were not coming from him, but alleged that he was distanced from her nonetheless. It's weird," he said. Maybe it had something to do with her management at the time. Sean Paul's denial didn't matter. The damage was done, and the solution was already being implemented. From that point forward, he would be systematically removed from Beyoncé's orbit. The confrontation revealed the true power dynamics at play. This wasn't just about artistic collaboration, but about protecting a secret romance that would eventually become one of music's most powerful marriages. For any artist, performing at the VMAs represents the pinnacle of mainstream recognition. For Sean Paul, it should have been the ultimate validation, a chance to perform Baby Boy for the biggest television audience in music. Sean Paul said, "There was one more performance we were supposed to do at the VMAs, and she said to me, 'We're gonna have rehearsal, so look out.' The day before the VMAs happens, there's this press day where you speak to every radio station, and I'm hearing somebody rehearsing Baby Boy." The realization hit slowly, then all at once. Sean Paul was at MTV's headquarters, doing the promotional rounds that every performer handles before the show. But through the walls, he could hear someone else rehearsing his song. Someone else learning his verses. Someone else preparing to perform the collaboration that had defined his American breakthrough. Sean Paul explained, "So I'm like, what's going on? We went to the label and they were like, 'Yo, they're not gonna do the song with you.' So I'm sitting there in the crowd with my present wife, and Paris Hilton is sitting in front of me." The label's explanation was brief and non-negotiable. Plans had changed. Beyoncé would be performing Baby Boy solo. Sean Paul's services would not be required. There was no artistic justification, no logistical explanation, no discussion of alternatives. The decision had been made by someone with enough power to override contracts, promotional commitments, and professional obligations. The performance itself was a masterclass in humiliation. Sean Paul sat in the audience, watching Beyoncé perform their collaboration without him, while cameras occasionally caught his reaction. Paris Hilton's innocent question spoke for millions of viewers who were confused by his absence. This wasn't just professional disappointment. This was public emasculation. The VMAs represent the industry's most visible platform, and Sean Paul had been removed from his own hit song in front of 50 million viewers. The final collaboration opportunity came days later in Washington, D.C., a performance for influential people that would serve as the unofficial end of their partnership. But Sean Paul had reached his breaking point. The next day, I was supposed to perform in Washington, D.C., and do the song with her for her father. I went there, did my show, and then waited around for a while. And I got pissed off. They were like, "There are 3,000 influential people waiting out there for you to do it." And I was like, "There were 50 million people watching the VMAs. I'm not doing it." And I left, Sean later revealed. Walking away from that final performance was Sean Paul's declaration of independence. He refused to be reduced to a backup performer on his own hit song. If he couldn't be treated as an equal partner, he wouldn't participate at all. The decision cost him immediate opportunities, but preserved his dignity. More importantly, it demonstrated that even Jay-Z's influence had limits. He could control stages and soundboards and television performances, but he couldn't control an artist's self-respect. Years later, Sean Paul would face constant questions about the collaboration's abrupt end. His consistent response that nothing happened beyond a successful song became both truth and survival strategy. Acknowledging the real power dynamics would have meant admitting he'd been outmaneuvered by forces beyond his control. Sean Paul wasn't the only artist to experience the consequences of getting too close to Beyoncé. Years later, another high-profile case would emerge that suggested a disturbing pattern of career interference. And this time, the target was Oscar-nominated actor Terrence Howard. When Terrence Howard announced his retirement from acting in 2022, the entertainment world was shocked. Here was an actor at the height of his powers, fresh off the massive success of Empire, with a career spanning 3 decades and including acclaimed performances in Crash, Hustle and Flow, and the original Iron Man. Why would someone with so much talent and success suddenly walk away?
No, I've spent 37 years pretending to be people, so what people can watch me pretend, and I think it's time just to be Terry for a while.
Howard's public explanation seemed noble enough, but industry insiders began connecting dots that painted a much darker picture. You see, Howard's career trajectory after Empire ended in 2020 told a different story. He wasn't retiring, he had been blackballed. For an actor of his caliber and recognition, opportunities should have been abundant. Instead, major roles became scarce. High-profile projects passed him by. The phone calls from A-list directors and producers gradually stopped coming. The timing was particularly suspicious. Howard had just completed 6 seasons as the lead character on one of television's most successful shows. Empire had made him a household name and demonstrated his ability to carry a major network series. This should have been the launching pad for the next phase of his career, not the end of it. But if the Sean Paul template was being applied to Howard, the goal wouldn't be immediate destruction. It would be gradual marginalization. Opportunities would dry up slowly enough that it could be attributed to natural career cycles or changing industry tastes. The fingerprints of deliberate sabotage would be virtually invisible. Howard's decision to frame his retirement as a personal choice was likely another survival strategy. By taking control of the narrative and making it seem voluntary, he could preserve some dignity while avoiding the appearance of being pushed out. But the entertainment industry understood the subtext. Another talented artist had learned not to mess with Jay-Z's marriage. The parallel to Sean Paul was unmistakable. Both men had experienced unwanted chemistry with Beyoncé. Both had faced mysterious career setbacks, and both had ultimately chosen to step back rather than continue fighting a battle they couldn't win against an opponent they couldn't directly confront. In an industry where who you know matters just as much as what you do, the message couldn't be clearer. Upset the wrong person, mess up the wrong connection, and you might end up sitting in the crowd while someone else sings the song you made famous. Baby Boy is still loved because great music can outlast the drama behind it. But for those who really know what went down, every beat tells a story of what was lost, what people gave up, and what they learned that summer when a Jamaican artist found out some collaborations come with strings you never see until it's too late. What happened to Sean Paul wasn't a one-time thing. It was a playbook, a quiet strategy to keep the spotlight where they want it, while slowly pushing someone out without ever making it obvious. Careers are ended behind the scenes, so smoothly that the people affected can't even explain how it happened. At the end of the day, the moment Sean Paul realized he was no match for Jay-Z became a wake-up call for everyone paying attention. In this business, your biggest threat isn't your competition. It's the person who sees your success as a problem in their personal life. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.